excited to be the moderator of today's panel, and I think that this panel dovetails so nicely from the panel that we just had. Our panel topic is how to get unstuck. So I think that what we're going to do today is offer some really practical advice, some stories, and then I think we're going to change it up a little bit for the second half of the panel. So I would just love for us to kind of talk about what it means to be stuck, and then maybe what are some of the situations that you may have been in where you felt stuck, and what were the things that you were able to do to get past that feeling of stuckness. So I'm just going to start, well, let's start with Deborah.
Good afternoon, folks. Great to be up here. So, times that I've been stuck, I suppose that the greatest time that I was stuck was when I realized that what I always wanted to do when I grew up, which was to own a restaurant, that wasn't working for me anymore. And what got me stuck, I would say two things in particular. The first was my inner critic, Eve, short for evil. She was telling me, what will you be able to do because all you know how to do is the restaurant business. So Eve, disempowering beliefs are wound up in that inner critic, and a sense of boundaries. Where do I end and where do other people begin? Because I, with my beloved restaurant, I felt really obliged and at service to my guests. So when I recognized that my restaurant dream career was not serving me anymore, I had to get past Eve, which she's still a bitch, but I had to get past that, and also the disempowering beliefs that I can only do this in order to move on to live a better life.
I love that. And actually, you know what? I wanted to do something. I think we talked about this a little bit, but it's hard to see with that light there. But who in the audience right now at this stage today, here we are, who feels actually stuck? Okay. So there's so many different aspects of being stuck too, right? There's personal, there's mental. So does somebody want to kind of take a shot at, being stuck maybe from a financial perspective or from a personal perspective or a career perspective? Patricia, I'm looking at you, or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably talk to that because I think I was stuck with all three of them at one point, all at the same time, which is really fun. When I was, and I think this isn't not infrequent that we get stuck when we're in some kind of a transition. And I think to dovetail off of what you just said, when I was acting, but there was some part of me that felt like there was something else I was meant to do. But I didn't know what. And so I had gotten coaching, and I was speaking, but I didn't actually know what I was speaking about. In fact, I was even the president of the National Speakers Association, and I didn't really know what I was speaking about. Not a good thing. I felt like financially things were stuck. I was a new mom, and so it felt like I just didn't have any time to even figure out what I was supposed to be doing in the world. And I think I also had a bit of a struggle because my identity got so tied to being an actor. And here I was, like, I was on television, I was doing all these cool things, and now I was like, yeah, but that doesn't quite seem right. I think I'm gonna go be a coach. And I was really having a hard time reconciling the difference between those two, because it was like, well, this is glamorous and this doesn't seem to be quite as glamorous, even if it felt a little more fulfilling. And so, and in that struggle, I clearly wasn't making any money. And I wasn't taking care of myself as much because I was running around, spinning my wheels, not really doing anything great. So I had to really step back and take a look and dig deep into values and what I really valued in life and what did fill me up, what did light my heart up. And, that was when I really realized, like, I'm so excited when I help people find their purpose. Like, there's nothing more exciting than seeing somebody just light up and like, yes, that's what I want to do. And it's like, come on, let's make your dream come true. And so when I could see the energy around that versus everything else, I had to start following the flow of the energy. And that was where I started the path to allow myself that and get out of my head about who I thought I should be.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead,
can I
Jen.
follow
Yes,
up on
yes,
that?
absolutely.
She's speaking my language here.
Yes, very much.
Yes. So I grew up, the only thing I actually think I knew was that I wanted to be a teacher. So very similar to what you were saying. So I was a teacher, and then I burnt out. And then what do you do with that when it's the only thing I knew that I wanted to do? And so it was one of those things where I had to go on a journey to understand what my values were, exactly what you're saying. I had no idea what they were. I did whatever somebody else said I should do, and I was very good at that. But looking at myself was a whole other animal. So I spent a lot of time, many years, to try to figure out who I was, what was important to me. I came up with a methodology, a worksheet to go through to take other people through it as well. So that was the first thing, to find out who I was, what was important to me. Take a look at how I was spending my time now, and how does that relate to my values? And if it doesn't, why am I doing it? And what can I do to put something in there that is related to my values? And then sometimes it's just like someone else said, or both of you said, get out of your head. So I'm really good at thinking about things. And people said, take a walk, which I do. I take walks. I'm a believer in them. But I take a walk and I'm thinking the whole time. So what I found I need to do is I need to do some sort of activity that keeps my mind busy, but my subconscious can go to work. So I cleaned my attic. So it needed to be done, and I had to be conscious about what I was doing, but my subconscious took over. And so, you know how it happens to me in the shower all the time, where all of a sudden I'm like, hey, that's a great idea, right? Because you're doing your shampoo and blah, 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 and your body and your mind is busy, but your subconscious is going, hey, let me get your attention now. So find something that keeps you busy, but lets your subconscious take over. And then check it out. Oh, okay, that's a great idea. Does that align with my values? Is that something that works for me or not? And trust your gut feel on these things as well.
Yeah, Patricia. Go
I can relate to that. I get stuck all the time. I go through these moments of where it paralyzes me, where I'm just so stuck. I can't move. I can't do anything. My go-to is walking. I love walking, and I know a lot of people have talked about this already. The other thing is dancing. We all have music that we love. Turn on the music. Put on your favorite song. Get silly. Get crazy. Be fun. I do this in the middle of my house. I'll do it out and about. I just don't care. And when you get out of your head, because we do get in our head, we all get stuck there. And then the more you think about it, the more stuck you get sometimes. So it's forgetting about how to reason with yourself and figure it all out. Sometimes you just need to just let it go, and get out there and keep moving. And the more you have that momentum, you get that momentum and you keep going, and then all of a sudden you're not thinking so much and everything gets a little bit better, and then you want to do more and you just keep going. So those are my two. Movement is a big thing, and then my other thing that helps me get unstuck, and it's a personal thing, and this is really tough because my mom passed away not too long ago, but one of the things I always think about is she had a really rough life. So for me to think about anything that I'm stuck in this or I'm stuck in that, or I think this is a problem or that's a problem, it's trivial compared to what her story is, and even so many others. So when I think about others and what they go through, I snap out of it and think, what are you talking about?
Yes.
Why are you so in your head about it? This is minor. You can get through this.
Yeah.
It's okay. So I look at that a lot, and that helps me just thinking about her and others that go through so much. It helps me find my strength just to let go of whatever it is that's going on with me and get unstuck.
I love that. So I kind of want to shift gears a tiny bit and explore this idea of stuck. And I think this is something that we talked about in prepping for this panel, and almost the societal expectations of women that we constantly have to be productive in order to be valuable. And so sometimes this idea of being stuck might not be our own, right? So can we talk a little bit about that? Because it could be outside pressure making us feel as if we need to move into what's next. But sometimes that pause, and a couple of friends of mine talk about the power pause, that is a time for reflection and insight. And so what we may be defining as being stuck might not actually be stuck. It might be an opportunity for us to reflect. So I kind of want to just have a conversation about that. And anybody that would like to add on, yeah, go ahead.
I'll start
Yeah.
because actually when Janet was talking about cleaning her attic,
Yes.
it set out for a beautiful analogy. I am a big journaler, and I started journaling because of The Artist's Way. Okay, who's heard the Artist's Way?
Julia
Awesome.
Cameron.
So Julia Cameron recommends morning pages in which you write furiously fast without thinking very much, 3 pages, handwritten pages, which kind of defeats the purpose for me because I can't read my writing, but that's not part of the story. The story is, at one point I was like, I only have time for 1 page, until one of my colleagues said, Deborah, imagine that journaling is like your house. On the first floor of your house, that's where you greet guests. That's where it's kind of public space. That's the first page of journaling. The second floor to your house, that's, a little bit more intimate. The bedrooms, the bathrooms, that's the second page of the journaling. And the third floor, the attic, that's where you unpack the things that you haven't thought about in years and years and years. So, in circling back to your question about being unstuck, besides the walking, yes, morning marches are important, but before the morning march, to journal and stick with those 3 pages, it seems like forever, but my mind informs my brain via my hand when I journal.
That's so good.
Do you find talking to friends, or sometimes you need to say things out loud to somebody, whether it could be a therapist, it could be a friend, but do you find,
Yes.
do any of you find that where just saying it out loud, you start figuring things out for yourself and it starts clicking?
Yes.
Because you're now out of your head too, and you're talking to somebody and you're hearing yourself and you're thinking, oh, wait, you don't need to get that advice from anybody. You just need a sounding board.
Absolutely.
I think I agree with that, and why are you talking to them? Are you talking to them just to hear what you're saying, or are you looking for approval? Because if you're looking for approval, that's not going to work. That's the shoulds, right?
I think for me personally, it's I need to hear myself, to get out of my head, just
Exactly.
to hear myself. My sounding board
Exactly.
is my husband. I don't even go to my friends.
Yes, a
I'm like,
trusted
just listen to
person.
me. That's all I need. Just listen.
Yeah, like that song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's very important to talk and to share things with trusted people and to check your motivation. So like when I was in a job where I felt, it was the first time I ever checked in with myself, and I went, I got to leave this job. It was a great job, great pay, great company. I was doing well, but I knew I was going to get sick if I stayed in that job. I knew it. And so I went to my husband and said, I think I got to leave. And he goes, no, you're crazy. That's a great job. And so then I went to my parents and I said, I think I need to leave. And they go, it's a great company. Why would you ever leave that company? My neighbors are like, oh my God, you've been there for so long. Why would you ever? If that's what I was going for, was to get approval, it wasn't happening. And the old me would have gone, oh, they're probably right. But the me that checked inside and went, no, I got to listen to myself. I'm the one that quit. I'm the one that left. I'm the one that's here now.
Yeah, I love that.
Trusting your instincts.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's so good. Definitely. Yeah, I think so. What do I want to say? So many thoughts just went through my head at that one time. I think oftentimes when you're stuck, we know intellectually they can be your greatest opportunities, even if you don't feel it. And yet, when you give yourself permission to have it be that, it actually, in that period of time when I was most stuck, became what I do today. And it was through walking, or for me, it was running, that I created Moticize, which was this movement combined with a whole mindset process, because I was seeking, what can I do? Who could I ask? How could I figure this out? You know, and I started to ask myself questions while I was moving. And we know now from the brain science that your brain's wide open, you're more creative, you're more focused. It really taps into the motivated side of you, plus also your intuition. And so through that, at the time, I was just like, oh, that's a cool idea. I wish there was a class like that. And I just started to take notes, and I threw it in a drawer, but a couple months later, I took it back out, and it ultimately became my business today. And so that period of stuck was truly the pathway to the place that I am, much like, you know, you were saying. And, you know, it did end up being the title of my book, but one of the first things is the question, what if it were easy? Because when we're stuck, everything feels hard. Everything feels impossible. It seems like it's just a big wall in front of you. And when you just ask, well, what if it were easy? What would I do? And really give yourself permission to go there. Don't be like, well, it's not easy. You know, just allow yourself to just entertain the question. And often it will pop up. Something will pop up. And then go down that track. Because if it were really easy, some part of your heart is wanting that. And that could be a clue. Maybe it's that, or maybe that's the next question that you need to get to where you're ultimately going to go.
Yeah, you're making me think that we create resistance when we fight what we maybe know inside, right? Go ahead.
Well, yes, we create resistance, and it is partially intrinsic, it is also partially extrinsic, because as you started this question, Adrian, you were asking about the expectations of women. Yes. And so often we hold it together, we push on through, we're exhausted, and we don't let ourselves even pause. Oh. So a big part of getting unstuck, in my estimation, is rebuilding our nervous system. We have gone through, 2 years of COVID, the craziness of this world. We're gearing up for an election, and we're not giving ourselves the self-compassion and the time to actually breathe each day, to rebuild our nervous systems, so we can say, okay, what would it look like to swim downstream? What sounds good? So I wanted to add that to.
Yeah, I think that's true. And to go with the nervous system, I think that is very much the perspective difference, right? Because when we are in a stuck place, we have a whole body posture. We have a nervous system reaction, and that's signaling our brains, and it's not tapping into our most resourceful place. But when we shift and when we relax our nervous systems or go into different perspectives, it will signal our brains differently, and that will give us different answers as well as different feelings.
Yeah, it just reminds me of the panel that we just listened to about, you know, living a healthy life. All of these things together are part of what we need to be doing to not only, you know, help our physical health, but also help our mental and emotional health. And it all just ties together so very beautifully. So kudos on putting these two panels right next to each other. How are we doing on timing? We have plenty of time. Okay. Actually, I wanted to ask have you ever been able to kind of spot the stuck coming?
I could feel it at times. I know when it's going down that path.
Yeah.
I start slowing down. My momentum is very different. I start slowing down with things. Little depression sets in. You just get lazier, get quieter, and then I'm like, okay, this is a time where you need to just move. And it's not always easy, but you have to power through. You have to find what works for you. Obviously, everybody's very different, and I know they talked about it in the last panel, and we've been saying it. It's just whatever works for you. Yeah. I mean, like I said, for me, dance is everything, that movement. And sometimes I just do need, there are times where I need somebody as a soundboard, but I do need that quiet time, because I think we have the answers within us all the time. It's just a matter of quieting everything. So sometimes when there's too much going on around, that's when the walks for me work too, because if I'm walking, I'm not with everybody and anybody. I like doing my walks by myself, because then I'm internal about everything and it quiets everything, and where your gut instincts take in, which you said, I actually learned this when I was living in New York over 25 years ago. I was in this big, crazy, energetic city, and I was here by myself, didn't have any friends or family, and I walked every day, and I would have my internal conversations, and things started to fall in place where I wasn't thinking anymore. I was just having conversations with myself and learning myself and learning to come into my own and become a woman. I was 25 at the time, or 26, something like that. And it just, all those moments of walking and being alone and quieting the mind just changed everything for me. And so that's why I always go back to the movement and the walking. Just being in tune with yourself as much as possible. And yes, you're going to fall out of tune with yourself, but it's finding your way back to that center point.
Yeah.
I think the mind-body connection cannot be understated. Needs to be whatever, you know what I mean. Emphasized. See, you need your mind in order to speak. Anyways, to all of your points here, if you, and to my point about I felt that I was going to get sick if I stayed in this job, I was listening to my body. I knew that I wasn't feeling right. My body wasn't feeling right. And so it's listening to your body tells you, right? Your body will tell you when something is not right. So if something is off, it's a good time for you to go, oh, let me sit back and think about this. Let me ask my body, what is it? Where do I need to be paying attention? And like you said, what works for you? For me, I need to get myself out of my environment. I need to go to Martha's Vineyard. That's my place.
Let's go.
Take a vacation.
Yes, but I need to go to my happy place, right? I need to get away from, I can't like go in my office and do that because there's a gazillion distractions there. And that's probably the stressor right there. So I need to go somewhere where I know it's going to allow me to exhale, listen to my body, ask it questions. It will tell you. It will tell you. You have to allow yourself to get quiet.
Yes. Deborah, I know you spoke before we were here on this panel about somatic shifts. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's super interesting. We haven't really hit on that yet.
Yes, I would love to talk about that. And so somatic shifts are body movements, almost to like, how a dog does this when it gets out of the water. That's what I think of as some somatic shifts. So I guess when we're getting stuck in a micro context, if I'm trying to write something for the 3 tomatoes usually, and I get stuck and I can't get out of it, I will get up and I will move. I will either move my environment or I'll actually move my body. That is a way to shift the energy. And then the other somatic offering I can share right now is grounding. So before before any kind of heavy lifting or something where I'm feeling resistance, swimming upstream as opposed to swimming downstream, to actually ground myself in 3 dimensions, which is the length, which is your dimension of dignity, my width, which is my dimension of connection and boundaries, and then my dimension of depth, which is the support system that I have. And in that way, once I ground in those 3 dimensions, I'm able to open up my front, which is the most vulnerable parts of us humans, the gut, the heart, and the mind.
I love that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, that's very cool.
That's good. And
really
how
good.
do you actually how do you actually do that?
Well, I actually go through a meditation.
Oh, it's a meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next year,
Yeah.
folks, we'll do a session.
That's what I was
on
going to
grounding.
say. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Can I
Yes.
just a
Of
teeny one
course.
less cool than that, but also kind of fun, and it's really simple, and we could do it right now. It's
Let's do it.
A nervous
Let's
system
do it.
body wash, and so it's essentially. I'm just gonna put this down for a second. You rub your hands together. Rub your hands together just to create a little heat, and then you're literally just as if your hands were a washcloth. You're just gonna kind of wash it over, like especially the areas that feel tense, like down your arms, and even like your legs. back of your legs, and make sure you get your lower back where you feel a lot of tension there. And then just shake it out. And just notice if that feels a little different. It's almost taking the same thing you would do with a baby or a spouse or something. You're basically just rubbing your body, and it's just gently calming your nervous system. So if you're feeling a little hyped up or you need just a little self-love, it's a great, easy thing to do.
I love that. I really love that. Yes. Actually, we don't have like a huge amount of people here. Do you think we could take a couple of questions from the audience about being stuck? Because I think there is so much wisdom here and advice that we can offer, and I'm sure that whoever has a question.
Real questions, though.
Sorry?
Real questions.
Real questions, pointed questions, and quick questions. Just about if there's any particular area of your life where you feel stuck, whether it's emotional or financial or in your business or anything else, because I think we have a lot of wisdom to offer. A real question, please. I think we're talking about opportunity here. Yeah.
Have you checked in with what it feels for you?
It feels great. It feels great.
Then I would lean into it.
There's so much is coming.
Well, okay, so your body's telling you it's too much.
No, I like it though. It's exhilarating.
Okay.
You want to keep it going.
No, it's a great
It's
question.
a great question
Yeah,
because I think
an
it's something we
amazing
all deal with.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's an amazing question. It's almost like getting stuck in all of the barrage of information that's coming at you. What do you do with that, right? It's so much, it's overwhelming that you feel paralyzed.
No, I'm not paralyzed. I like it.
But to move forward and what to do. I actually think that that's a really incredible question. So sometimes there's too much information coming in. Right? And so we were talking about being stuck, not knowing what to do, but sometimes there's so much that we don't know how to decide, right? The paradox of choice.
We went to an event, and there were so many photographers and taking pictures of this fabulous doctor and my friends, and people were talking, and so much is coming out in the social media, it's hitting the papers, it's hitting all this stuff, and we're all a little bit.
Yeah, I think this has to do with decision making, right? When you have a barrage of information coming at you, how do you decide what to pursue without getting stuck, without doing nothing?
So I'll take a first shot at that. So two things that I hear about that, because you're definitely excited about it, right? Like it's thrilling and it's exhilarating. And I would almost say ride a little bit of that wave, because that is feeding your soul, right? And so sometimes we frame these things as bad. And maybe if we just be like, oh my gosh, this is the most exciting time ever, I'm gonna love every second of it. Just the shifting or the reframing of how you view it can sometimes help. Yeah. So that would be one tact. And then a separate one that I sometimes do when I get like barraged and I don't know what to do with it, is I'll like step out almost as if I'm either like I'm the coach or I'm hovering almost in a helicopter overlooking what's going on below. So you're seeing it from the outside, looking down and viewing. So what's working about that? What's really good about it? What do I want to take? What do I love? What is valuable here, and what can I dismiss? But sometimes when you remove yourself just a little bit so you're not emotionally attached to everything that comes in, it helps you be a little more objective. So two totally different ways.
Does anybody else want to sort of add to that? Because we do have another question.
Go ahead and take
Okay, let's...
Yeah, on a more somber note, I'm wondering, is there any way to expedite the grieving process? I just lost my
I think no. Yeah. But is there any way to somewhat expedite the grieving process through loss. I mean, I think
There's no way around that.
Yeah.
It's different for everybody. When my mom passed away, it was I went into this mode of taking care of everybody else, and I wasn't grieving. I was taking care of everything because everybody else was just a mess. So I was like, I've got to be strong for everybody. So I was taking care of everything, and it took months and months and months. Even it just took a while before I was like, what's happening? I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that all of a sudden. So I'm starting to grieve it now. It's hitting me out of the blue, and it's going to go in spurts. There are times where I'm like, get it together, just put this aside for now. And I hate to say that, but it's like, because it paralyzes me, it gets me stuck if I think about how much it hurts and not having her here and not being able to ever touch her and feel her and hug her, and all those things are so hard. I keep wanting to go back in time, but you have to go back to thinking about the good stuff, the good memories, and take yourself out of all the negative stuff. And having her gone, I think about all the good things. Look at pictures that make you happy about your husband. Maybe that'll help, or certain moments, certain vacation spots, or certain things that are personal to you and your husband, and hold on to that and allow yourself to feel it. But also don't get stuck either, because that does come into play. We start getting sad that they're gone. And it's hard. So you're going to go through waves. You're going to have your good days and your bad days. You just have to get through every single day and just try to find those positive moments, those heartfelt moments.
You gotta go through it to get through it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Deborah.
And the other thing that I can suggest, and it does tie into the last panel, is that sense of community and connection. Often when we're devastated and grieving, we tend to isolate. So to reach out, even if it's every day on your calendar, marking somebody that you love that you'll call, it's not going to fix anything, but it will keep you heart connected.
I love that. In the orange, the beautiful woman in the orange. That's what we were talking about before. So, yes.
And the reason I think it's great to be stuck is because it brings you out and open to something else.
Yes.
I've been stuck so many times.
I love that.
But somehow it's brought me on to the next step in my life of reinventing myself.
Woo! There's wisdom in this stuff. Mary?
You mentioned that if you didn't leave your job, you thought you were going to get killed. I think sometimes we get so committed to doing things the way that we're used to doing that we don't recognize we're stuck. And so I believe that the universe will come in and unstuck you.
Oh. Yeah, and if you don't listen, yes, exactly.
First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you shared today. I have a very practical question, I think. As everybody's been saying, I think we've all been stuck so many times, and I do think that's how you reinvent yourself, and it sounds like you've all reinvented yourself so many times. My question is, how do you get from that moment where you go, aha, this is what I want to do now, I've just been fired up, I'm in the flow. How do you get from there to writing a book? Like, what do you
Pick up a pen and start writing. Yeah. Go ahead.
Bird by bird. Yeah, it's just do the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. It's kind of like what they were talking about with the exercise. Just do it,
Yeah.
right?
A little bit at a time.
A little bit at a time.
Yeah, I heard something the other day. This is in regard to financial, but I think it can apply. Money loves speed, right? So act and think after, right? Money loves speed, and I think whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish also loves speed. So we don't want to get stuck in our heads and not take action. Take your action, and then you can think about it and readjust. It's very much the same as design thinking, right? Everything's an experiment. I hear myself saying that a lot to even my cousin who's looking for a relationship a little bit later in his life. feels a little stuck in that relationship aspect. And I said, just go out and do something. Because even if that something is not the right thing, it gets you moving. And when you're in that place of movement, you can adjust. It's harder to get an object, right, to move unless it's already in motion. It's easier to steer the ship when it's moving. So just do it. You have the idea. The idea is there for a reason. Do it,
So
as Nike says.
So it sounds like momentum. And if I can add to that, there's a great book called The War of Art.
Yes.
And the gentleman, and I'm going to butcher this, so I apologize to the author, but he's talking about writing, and he says, it's amazing how my muse shows up every day at 9 a.m. So if your aspiration is to write a book, make a date with yourself at the same time every day, and that momentum will start to carry you through.
And I think Deborah's advice, too, about morning pages, right? Just you write without thinking. You actually never even go back and look at it, if I recall the book, right? So that momentum of writing gets you in the mode, and maybe you can use some of that to move into the next thing after you get through the attic. I love that analogy so much.
I'm just going to say one other, I need to be an affiliate because I recommend this site so many times, but I use it a lot. It's called Focus Mate. Anybody else use it?
Yes.
It's brilliant. I wish I
Yes.
came up with that idea. But anyway, you could do 3 sessions for free a week. Otherwise, it's like $5 a month. It's totally reasonable. And you go on and you book a session with somebody for 20 minutes, 50 minutes, or 75 minutes. And they're anywhere in the world. Yes. They'll pop up and you'll be like, what are you working on? I'm working on this. What are you working on? My book. And then you'll turn off your mic so you don't hear it, you don't talk anymore, but you're literally working while this person is on camera. And they're working while you're on camera. It's crazy how effective it is, but it's like booking a session with yourself with accountability.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
focusmate.com. It's
Yes.
genius. I love it. And I use it a lot, especially when I feel stuck, particularly with writing 3 tomatoes or my book. So, use that.
I did see one other question. There we go. Financial services. Activity is the mother of all blessings. Yeah, it's money loves movement, or movement loves money. Money loves speed. Okay, so let's actually finish with the lightning round. I'll steal that from Ronnie. I don't know where you are. But let's give one super practical, actionable tip on how if someone came to you and said, how do I get unstuck? What would you tell them immediately, Deborah?
What's the first baby step you can commit to?
Nice.
What is the first baby step that you can commit to?
Good.
So we talked about movement, but I think embodying something you love. It could be walking, it could be painting, it could be yoga, it could be meditation, it could be prayer, it could be journaling. But do something that is a different embodiment than stuck.
Patricia.
I have to agree with both. I mean, they're all good takes, and I feel the same way. Just taking action, baby steps at a time until it gets bigger. Taking time with yourself, or if you need to, go be with a friend or go do something different than what you're doing in that moment.
Yeah.
Instead of sulking or being, in your head, taking whatever action needs to be made.
And I would say write down your values, write down your top 10 values, and then figure out what you can do that honors those values.
I have a tip that I just thought of that you reminded me of. This, again, somebody showed this to me. You draw a circle, and then you draw all lines coming out of it, and you brainstorm, right? Like if you're stuck on a certain something, you put what you're stuck on in the middle of it, and then you don't even think, and you just write down all the different ways that you can get unstuck. What are the different things that you can do? So I guess I would offer that tip. So,
And then I know that I've already spoken, but self-compassion, folks, we are so incredibly hard on ourselves.
Yes.
There's reasons that we get stuck, so please slather yourself with self-compassion.
I love that. Thank you so much. Okay, wonderful. Thank you.